have a love-hate relationship with that sword. That's a Ronin Katana war sword. It's meant to be like a copy of the Harriet Beam sword. It's in the Met. It's not. What do I love about it? Well, I love the fact that the blade is pretty good. It's very sharp. What I hate about it is this thing. The handle of this sword makes this sword about as much fun as a root canal done with a claw hammer after someone kicks you in the knee or the balls. The pommel is way too small, half as big as what it should be. And here is the love-hate relationship sword itself. The Ronin Katana War Sword. What to do with this? I have to admit, I do not have a huge skill set to do this. Other swords I've dealt with the handles on have not been quite like this, and I've never had to get the peen off of this thing. Like, I don't know. Because the thing is, this peen has been machined pretty smooth, so you can't even. I mean, I can see where it's at, but. And I don't know if this is solid or hollow. I don't know if it's a bunch of epoxy in there holding this thing together. I don't know whether I should take this off first and then deal with this, or try to get this off first and then deal with this. This is very slightly loose. It's tighter now because I pounded this thing down, which probably is going to make my job harder. Here is the piece of mild steel that is going to replace this. You can see how whopping huge it is. And you think, and just looking at this, it's like, wow, that is really that is big. It's huge. But then you take this over to another sword of the same era, and here is this pommel, and there it is. So it's basically the same size as this pommel right here, minus the peen block. So, but compared to the pommel that's on the sword, this looks whopping huge. But this is how big it has to be. Now, I'm going to chamfer this both sides down so it's not like a giant, cylinder like this. Not a cylinder, whatever this is. Anyway, round bar. But first I'm going to get this off. So I think I'm going to cut this down here to get this off. And once this is off, this will be loose. And I'll be able to see what this and this look like. I hope it's not like welded together as well. It's always a possibility, you never know. Yes, that's the cording. Anyway, all right, well, that's all off. This stuff is just glued on there. I took that off. So now, I don't know if there's like, if these are two pieces put together, or if this is like one piece that's been cut and drilled out. I don't know, but this is going to have to get taken off. So now I'm going to try to use this chisel and get in here and crack these two pieces apart. I did the same thing on this side. We'll see what happens. So inside of here was a lot of glue. It looks like liquid nails, is what I'm betting it is. So this is, yeah. There's the other piece, you can see, which is not historically inaccurate. I know that resin was used to firm up sword parts. So this is just modern resin, you know, glue of some kind. But that's what's inside that handle. And there is the tang of the Ronin Katana war sword. Now I'm going to get this thing off of here, see how that pops off. And then, see what's there. Is the where that tang joins into the blade. It's a bit rounded off, but there's still some glue in there, so I'm not sure exactly how rounded off that is. The this piece is very well made. It fits in there very nicely. You can see the bit that's been machined out. I'm sure that has been machined out. That's really nicely done. I don't like the fact that it's, I don't know what kind of metal this is, probably stainless, but this, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. I'll clean up a little bit. Well, see that little bump right there? That's where it's been ground down, so there's a little scallop in. I mean, it is rounded, but it could be better. Anyway, now I gotta get this thing. So I got the sword turned around in the vise, and we will see. It still seems like a lot of glue inside there. I don't know if it's solid or not. I'll find out. I bet it's hollow. That is glue. Here's the edge of the pommel. There's the tang. This space in here, that is glue. All right, well, I've got some of the glue out. But yeah, it's tough glue, but it's just glue. One issue that I've got is I can't have this get cut off. So I've got to, I've pounded this, the pommel down slightly so I can get access to the way the peen has been splayed out from when it was peened down. And then I got to use a file around here so I can get that flange that's been created when it was peened down gone, so I can pop this off, so it can go up, so it can pop off this way, because there's a limit to how far this can go down. Thankfully there's glue down here, so I've got a little bit of gaposa, so I think if I just get this off of here, I can pop that off. And we'll see. Voila. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it came out. Here's another example of this and this. This is about 4 times the weight of this. So hopefully this will, and this looks like it's been cast, which is not what this is going to be. This is going to be drilled through. So now comes the really interesting, weird, probably pain in the ass part. It took a half an hour to get this off of here. Now I gotta get a drill press to drill a hole through this sucker. Because my plan is I'm going to drill a hole through this, straight through. And I am going to grind this base off slightly. Not quite like this, but close, so it'll stand up. And then that's going to be where it'll rest. And then I'm going to put a mark here. And then I'll drill a hole through that to match this. Once that hole's drilled, then I gotta go through the other side and drill 3 holes, and then use a whole bunch of elbow grease with a grinder or with a file to make this thing fit. And then once that hole is done, then I'll take it off, and then I'll do all the finishing work on this thing as much as I can, to the level of my ability. Well, it's getting there. It is absolutely getting there. Well, that's what it's going to be. It needs to be refined considerably, but there you go. Okay, so this is not put together yet. This is just for looks for right now. It's not done. I just want to get, you know, some eyeballs on what this thing's going to look like. I can tell you that balance-wise, this sword is way, way nicer. So that part is a success.
So after disassembling the Ronin Katana war sword and getting rid of the diminutive pommel and handle, I contacted my brother, who is a genius brainiac with 3D printing, and I designed a new handle for it, and then I had him print it out of carbon fiber. So, without further ado, there it is. There it is. So I have replaced the pommel with a much bigger pommel. A much bigger pommel. Huge. But it needs to be big because this is a big sword. And you need to have the balance. Look at that. Look at that. The balance was way down here. It was way down here. Now it's way up here. So it already feels better. It actually weighs more because this is probably 4 times the amount of weight that was on the original sword. However, it feels better. And you can see I've got some designs in there too. So, anyway, of course in 3D printing, like this was the first attempt. Not very good. And then we got this basic one. This is low temperature material, which means that if this was to sit out in the hot sun, it would get soft. Or if you were handling it a long time, like if you were doing a lot of sword work for a long time in your hand, this would get pretty soft. This is carbon fiber, so it's not going to get soft. This is it is what it is. So anyway, couldn't be happier. So so I basically taken a sword that was, in my opinion, not very well balanced and kind of a pig to use, and I've kept it. I kept the crossguard. I was going to make a new crossguard, but now this is totally fine. And I just replaced all this stuff, and now it's a much more usable sword. So there you go. Thank you to my brother for doing this. I couldn't have done it myself. I was just going to make this out of wood and just kind of, carve it all out. And that's what I started doing. But then I thought, well, wait a minute, my brother has a 3D printer. So, ta-da! There you go. Done deal.